Do we need to get the teapot his own mic?
Could. I have a shotgun mic that would actually work great for it. But
Just have teapot ambience?
yeah. I need to get a cable or an adapter that would properly connect it into the mixer. Because I'd have to connect into one of the non-XLR channels. At least that'd be the easiest way to do it. I don't get in OBS the go live button. I don't think it does anything. Alright. Well, I don't know.
Is it going?
It is going. I was just making sure everything was A-okay. And it's all going.
Alright.
I like the color of this.
Yeah, it's super pretty. That's what I found, or what I should say is, so Philip's referring to some tea we just brewed. It's Lubao tea, which I was learning about what on earth that is. I wasn't quite figuring it out yet, but the old Chinese tea lady that I get this stuff from, I almost can't. Oh, that's not bad. I would say it's hard because you almost need like the light going through it.
Yeah. But it looks very nice.
Yeah, one thing she always points out is how pretty different teas are, and then I started looking as I have the different ones, and they're usually, she said something to the effect of, like, good tea's always pretty. And yeah, I've got some that turns like this, like, vibrant yellow. Super pretty. This one will get really dark.
It's almost like maple syrup color.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, I don't know. So I just looked up, because this is supposedly fermented tea, where most teas are oxidized, which simply means, according to this website, just the process of exposing it to air and drying it out. White teas are wilted, completely unoxidized. Green teas are unwilted, unoxidized. Oolongs are all over the place. Black teas are wilted, bruised, and fully oxidized. But this thing does not address what this is. This is called, there's two fermented ones. This one's called Lubao.
Hello. Piper's here.
What's up, Piper?
She's at work right now. Must be boring at work. Nothing too exciting going on yet. We're just learning about teas.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Looking
Fermentation
at the snack.
involves microbial activity,
Yeah.
which causes tea leaves to break down and decompose. Over time, the fermentation process is carefully controlled to make... Okay, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, pu'er is the other kind. That's actually... I really like pu'er. I've had a couple things of it. It tastes like your grandma's house. Like, it's the best way I can describe it. It's just like, it's super musty, but in the weirdest way, it's really good.
I have not had that one.
And that one, see, there's that, and then there's this that we have right here, and the old tea lady seems to only like this one, as far as like the fermented teas. I've asked her about the other one, and she kind of poo-pooed it and said, "Gotta get this, Lubao." Anyway.
That's the thing, though, is with the teas is the flavor experience of it is not like normal flavor experience. It's not just like, oh, it tastes fruity or something. You're like, oh, this tastes like a spring garden or your grandma's house.
Yeah.
Or like a pile of leaves. None of them like sound like appetizing, but that's not the point of it. The point is that, like, you drink it and you're like, it like conjures memories and stuff. It like makes you think of things.
Yeah, I'll get some of the pu'er sometime.
I need to go
and
to
have
the shop and get some.
Yeah, I'll have you
I'm
try
like right
it,
next door to it. I like never go over there.
Piper, and you can have the experience of smelling and tasting your great aunt's mysterious old home on the hill.
Haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Flavored.
It smells like, it kind of smells like my family's old cabin. I don't know. And yet they're still kind of tasty, though.
Yeah.
In like a weird way.
No, this one's really nice.
Well, I like the ones that taste like grass, too. I mean, that's green tea, basically.
Green tea, yeah.
Green tea just tastes like refreshing plant.
It's nice, though. Well, it's like if you get like a good matcha, it's almost like you're drinking like fresh grass clippings or something.
Yeah,
But you're like, this is like kind of nice.
It's
even though it, like at the same time you're like, it doesn't sound nice, but then you have it again. That's tea, though. It's like if you try and describe it, you're like, that doesn't sound good, and then you have it, and you're like, oh, I understand why this is nice.
Yeah, the really nice matcha that Jason and Yukata got for me. How, like, yeah, it was like you fell into the smell of a lawnmower. I don't know.
But it's like...
but, like, in the best possible way.
It's like a very, like, smooth way.
Yeah. Very vegetal. That's kind of a lame word,
Herbal.
but
I don't know if...
Vegetal's correct. It's just doesn't sound nice.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. Like, it... Yeah, but yeah, grass. It was very grassy. Not like the matcha I currently have is like the worst matcha.
You have to just like pour honey into it. Well, it's like...
Oh yeah,
it's just like bitter. It's like bitter grass clippings.
It's bitter, and it actually just kind of... It's almost like I was saying about this one, is that if this one we're currently drinking gets too old, it kind of tastes fishy. The matcha I have is like has like this like weird like fishiness to it. I can't quite describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, and man, it's like barely green. It's like gray.
Oh. Yeah.
This is what happens. Well, it's what happens when you go to the store and they only have like the worst one left.
Well, I almost feel like what you do with the crappy matcha is you like make food out of it. Make like frostings and
Probably. I just
flavorings for other things.
I just honey and cream the living daylights out of it.
And then you're like, this is all right.
Yeah, it's more like it's more like a flavoring for the honey at that point. Like the honey's the like the champ, and the matcha's like helping out.
Well, also at that point you might as well just get like a nice green tea.
Yeah.
The one that I had was really good. I love that one.
I need to go get a nice green tea because now it's all warm again.
Yeah. That and and some other like more floral tea.
The like the not dark oolong. Like I said, oolongs are all over the place because you get some that are like, we've had both, but it's the one you served a little while ago and that they're like curled up little balls.
That one's really good.
Yeah, that's oolong, and it's like way different than the other oolong. But yeah, that it's like super duper floral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one I got, like the little sampler pack.
Yeah.
I'd get that one again. I also get the green tea I got last time again because that was super good.
Good luck.
Good luck figuring out what the heck that was. Whoa. Piper, you should come try some sometime. Well, it looks really. Oh, it's like super dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have some dates.
Dude, we should just set up like a whole camera thing, but make it all like pretty, like give it like a backdrop.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually, my studio will be nice enough that you could do something.
What if I make? Oh, it's not like I have any time to do this, but what if I like make it like a little like box that it can live in? I mean, like a photograph box, like a little background it can sit up against. Yeah, dates. But yeah, we should have everyone. We should have a what would you call it if everyone got together and had tea? Would it be called a tea party? Oh my gosh. Not just for princesses. Also, Philip makes these snacks. I think this is just going to become like a snack thing because I'm like scheming snacks, but they have to be this fancy.
This isn't even that fancy.
Honestly, I think I'm just going to make like a couple different salsas.
Salsas?
Yeah, like fresh salsas.
Okay.
My mind has been awakened to the idea that, man, the possibilities are endless with salsas. Like, you can prepare them like a bajillion different ways.
You make your own chips. It's fun.
I wasn't invited.
I mean, we sort of invite people to this when we do it. But you just get to watch us enjoy it.
Yeah. Philip has organized his studio significantly, and honestly, it's really nice, but just now we just need like a little table in here, and you could straight up just have a couple people, and it's like not half bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, chewing into the mic's gross.
I mean, one of my goals with kind of sprucing up my studio is I do want to, at some point this year, basically have like a little gallery thing going on.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Got a little piece on the table. But basically open up my studio for people to come in and look at stuff. That's the idea. Just be a fun thing to do. I just need to get more artwork made and ready to go, which I'm in the process of doing. Yeah, Piper, you should come here and we can do like an architecture roast or something. We'll need to do one of those again because it was fun.
Yeah. I was just about to say we haven't been disgusted about anything, drinking our tea in disgust.
We've mostly talked about other people being disgusted with things. But it's been very interesting.
Dude, it's kind of rocked my world. Yep. I mean, Eliza will be here next week, although actually my Friday late night isn't taken up. I don't know, we could
see if we can make that work.
I don't know, we could figure something out with babies and kids and stuff. But
yeah.
But yeah. Whatever your pet aesthetic topic maybe. I was actually about to ask that too, whether these are still grains of paradise.
Yeah. Yep. Careful. Oh. No. It's on my rug.
What's a fancy new rug? What have I done?
My cheap.
Oh, I'm a slovenly guest. I'm.
So I need to get like little serving plates. Anyway, the idea that we had for this time was just kind of in a way review some of the stuff we went over, but kind of more in in a practical sense. Like, what do you do with this information that we've kind of been gleaning? Because I've been thinking about that a lot.
Me too.
I mean, that's why part of why I've been working on my studio a lot, making it just nicer. But also, for example, I want to get like a new plate. I want to get one or two like really nice plates. For example, because I mean, for me, like reading a lot of this stuff has made me like actually be like much more like conscientious about like, I don't even know how to fully describe it. I mean, you could just say the aesthetics of things in my life, but because it goes beyond just like, oh, this is like a nice thing, but it's like I like had to think about this. Like, am I thinking about the things that are in my life? Are they worthwhile? You know, am I just doing stuff because, oh, this is just cheap and I can just not care? Like, this is a cheap play that I have these dates on. But is that actually good that I just got something cheap that I don't care about? Yeah, that too. Just in general, like, my ability to, like, work in my studio is actually getting, like, severely sapped by how cluttered it was. And so, I still feel like it's more cluttered than I want it to be, but it's way better than it was, like, 2 weeks ago.
It's way, way, way better.
And like a month ago when I had all the stuff in my van in here, it was really bad. It was so messy in here. So it's all a little bit connected to our discussions we've been having and just reading all these different perspectives. 'Cause they're all a little different. I mean, for example, Leo Tolstoy and Oscar Wilde are almost like opposite ends of the spectrum of like the schools of thought of aesthetics. But weirdly enough, like there's a lot of like overlap.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And so yeah, I don't know.
Cleanliness would live very much in like the Container Store. The Container Store is funny.
I've never even been to the Container Store.
If
the
you
closest thing is going to Target, I guess.
If you want to see like a cathedral of Tupperwares. The Container Store is like weirdly satisfying to walk through. Yeah. I guess, what was I saying? Cleanliness. That sort of lives in the... It definitely like lives in like the tea house stuff we learned about. Yeah, no, I've been working. I have to work at the kitchen table because working at my computer at odd hours wakes my son up. Because my office was the very corner of our room. Mm-hmm. So not only is it just super uncomfortable and probably not very good for my back. I mean, sitting at that.
I know. I've worked on stuff at that table before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
just because it's
not ideal. Well, it's not meant to be sat at for long periods of time. It's meant for eating dinner and then not being there anymore.
Yeah. So not only does it ruin dinner for my computer to be there, because it does, but also, that space goes from being like very clean to very messy to very clean like constantly. It's driving me nuts. But it's hard to like clean that when there's a lot of other stuff that needs to be cleaned as well.
Yeah. Here, actually, we can move this.
Oh, let me get the...
Oh you can't see it. I have like a little sheet on our table now. Makes it look nicer. Just little minor improvements.
I know, bit by bit.
I did make a huge difference. Like I got a rug on my floor in my studio, and it's just like a cheapo rug I got. But it makes like such a difference on how it feels in here.
And yet, this is still this.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You get to see the...
whatever you call that, like measuring board?
Yeah, like cutting mat. From like Joanne fabric. Very hot. I need like a little oven mitt or something.
Yeah. Let's see. Can I hand you my fork?
Yeah.
And I'll use one of your like this industrial strength paper towel to open the tea. Pour in a little more water.
It's got a good amount of water in there.
No. Needs lots and lots of water for lots and lots of lubao tea.
But yeah, a lot of kind of one of the through lines with all these things.
Ooh. Made it dangerous.
Very full.
Good luck.
Is it like the importance of being deliberate about just living in a way? Because when it comes down to it, aesthetics is sort of the outward expression of your soul, basically. And like and so it's important to think about like what things are like what you choose to like display, like how you choose to dress yourself. These are all like conscious decisions. Even if you like don't put much thought into them, it still like reflects something about yourself. And then also when you scale that up to other people, it starts to become the reflection of a society in general. And so like even like simple things too, like, oh, when I go to the grocery store, do I go in there with like pajama pants on, or do I be like, hey, I'm gonna put on like not that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, does it matter? I mean, in a material sense, no, but on a spiritual level, it kind of does. And so yeah, like your decisions reflect things. Yeah. And also it kind of feeds back the other way too.
Yeah.
Like when you dress like a little bit nicer, it does make you more confident. It makes you feel better. Not only because you do look nicer, but also it's like you put in that a bit of thought to it, right? The consideration matters. And then it kind of all, it's like a positive feedback loop. I mean, the Oscar Wilde thing, it kind of talks about that, but more in the sense of specifically with regards to craftsmen. He's like, craftsmen need to have like a beautiful workspace or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that applies to anything, really. Not just like a carpenter. It really makes a difference. still go to Smith's with pajamas on sometimes.
It's funny, since we've talked about this, it's on my mind always, and I keep ending up going to Smith's.
I'll like go in like my sandals or something.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, and I think it's sort of like being able to look at your own artwork and be able to critique it almost.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's the exact same thing. So you're not just like muddling about or like bumbling in a way. You're able to like look at what you're doing and think, okay, like, uh-oh. I feel like you could like do like watercolor with this stuff.
Probably.
This stuff's like really intense color-wise. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh.
That's a good way of thinking about it. That's funny.
I know, if I'm gonna go be a big spender, I'm like, no, I want the kind of expensive butter, not the extra cheap butter. Actually, this is it's like it just made me think. My hobby is cooking, I guess.
Yes. It's definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely
your hobby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. My hobby is cooking. I just want to have. I have like 50 would-be hobbies that I really want to be my hobbies, but I think cooking is the real one. And you don't always have to buy expensive ingredients, but some stuff like nicer butter. I don't know. I don't know, Piper. I think you should do $100 pajama day.
See what happens.
Yeah, people would be like, "Oh."
See how much the clerk at the self-checkout judges you.
Although every time I look nice, or like, I feel like the Smiths here in Provo is getting more and more run down all the time. It's
probably
it's like becoming a pretty run down Smiths. I think. I don't know why I'm getting that impression, but I've been like slowly getting it for a while. Yeah. I'm not sure where I was going with the food thing. Just, it makes a difference. Like, I've been very like conscientious with ingredients, because like ingredients can change everything.
Even if it's the same ingredient, just the quality of it.
Yeah, because before I'd always just get like cheapest butter, and just depends on what I do too. Like this starts with olive oil, in that if you want to like make some good like Italian recipes, you really ought to get like a good olive oil, and that one's like really obvious.
Yeah, when you have a good olive oil, all of a sudden you're like, what was I using before? Just like canola oil?
Yeah.
Like cheap olive oil is it's basically canola oil in quality. And you have a good one and you're like, "Oh, I could like almost just drink this."
Yeah. You almost can't.
You wouldn't want to.
I mean,
health-wise, but
yeah.
You could just drink it. Yeah, I have some Philadelphia cream cheese in the fridge right now. It really does, yeah. You don't want to get like Kroger brand.
Yeah. Like I have
sucks.
I have like a medium nice one that goes in stuff that where the olive oil is gonna kind of get like it's not it's gonna get kind of really covered up.
Yeah.
And then have like a nicest one at Smith's one in case of
Mm-hmm.
like olive oil needs to be kind of like the star of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, again, it depends on the thing with ingredients. Well, my head's kind of all over the place with this one, which is actually usually a good thing when we have these chats, because eventually it's kind of satisfying when it all comes together for me. But usually those chats we had were like 4 hours long. But let's see. So that felt kind of only semi-related.
I mean, to me, it's just like, again, the consideration and like the thought put into what you're doing.
Yeah, a good olive oil is a little fiery. They're like, somebody explained it to me once. It's the oh my gosh, my brain. Oh, I can't remember. It's like on the tip of my tongue. We'll see if it comes to me in a second. Yeah, it's got kind of like a heat to it almost.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's something that's on my mind with this. Something from the very, very beginning that Philip said that I keep bringing up because, man, it's been like, it like locked itself in my brain. It's such a good insight, which is, so, I don't remember exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about the sheets way back when.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like stuff gets cheapened because of money. That was my thought. I was like, you're like, of course, it's because of money. People want like to get like the absolute cheapest possible thing, and then mark it up as high as they can. Like, but then Philip pointed out a couple times how the real villain, or a villain along with money, but kind of the real villain all along is convenience.
Yeah.
And that goes through like everything. Like if you talk about like making like beautiful art, it's like, man, it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
Like it takes like
you have to like sit down and work on it for a while.
Yeah, like it takes a lot of effort, or just anything like worthwhile just takes some time.
Yeah.
Like, and I see this everywhere with myself. Like I keep seeing moments where I'm like, oh, here's this thing I want to do. Here's like the easier way, like the more convenient way, but it like
again, it's the pajamas at the grocery store thing. You're like, I could put on different pants, but I already got these on.
Here comes some tea.
You need like multiple like cameras to get all the angles, because like you need to see it from the side, but we can't show it from the side.
We need like a slow motion thing to have like the pour in slow motion. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Whoa. I mean, yeah, that was my observation. Kind of for a while has been that convenience. kind of gobbles up everybody's energy. And it's hard not to. But it does come at a cost. I don't know, sometimes stuff in an Instant Pot's pretty awesome. But yeah, homemade pasta is super good. Like making your own tomato sauce, like your own marinara.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. Well, that's why cooking's great.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, if I make this myself, it can be really good. Yeah, things like sauces.
well,
Making your own sauce is so good. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
I think she's talking about... Piper, are you talking about Instant Pot? Because, yeah, sometimes it can, like, do funky things. But it can also do great things. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
some
a
of those-
pressure cooker.
Yeah, some of those things you made were really
You
awesome.
make some really good carnitas in Instant Pot.
That's what I was actually just thinking was, didn't you make like a green salsa something?
Oh, what?
I'm trying to remember.
I made a few things in there that was really good.
Yeah,
See,
this
right-
season of life is a little wild with kids. it's wait, well, I was just talking to Phil before about, or maybe during, I can't remember, but how I want to compete with his stupid delicious dates with cheese and honey and pepper of paradise. I was trying to think of what to do, and I was just maybe gonna make some like fresh salsa, and I've been doing that a lot lately. And I've always liked salsa. I'm never like, wow, salsa's my favorite food, but like we always had salsa out of the bottle, and I always liked it. I thought it was great. And I went to my mom's like a week or so ago, and she just had like whatever, like, you know, great value salsa.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been making my own, and oh man, I like almost couldn't eat it.
Well, it's
And-
like, yeah, if you have a good salsa, like the difference, the range of quality on salsa can be pretty insane.
Yeah,
Like I don't like the stuff you get in like a big jug at the grocery store.
yeah,
It just tastes like,
it was like ketchup.
yeah, it just tastes like watery ketchup.
It was, well, so that's what I've had like my whole life, and I was like, whatever, this will be delicious. It's always been delicious.
Yeah.
And oh man, like I wasn't trying to be like a snob or anything, because again, I just expected it to be delicious as always. But it was like I just ate about half the thing, and I just had to dump it out, just because. It is kind of what we're talking about. In that it you know, it takes some effort to make it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised. I was pretty surprised at how
Just
like
how,
I couldn't eat it.
it's like a stark difference.
It tasted like you just said. It was like, it's like if you took all of like the oodles and gobs of sugar out of ketchup. So it's like, it was like watery oniony tomato paste.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like almost flavorless.
It was weird.
You're like, it's like, how is this salsa at all? It's like maybe it has like a slight bit of like heat to it, more than like a normal tomato,
Yeah.
but that's about it. It's like not even I guess you could get spicier ones, but the thing is that's not what makes a salsa good. The spiciness of it's actually kind of irrelevant. Honestly.
Yeah, the spiciness of it's like, if you like spice, then good.
Yeah.
But it's, you know.
But even if you like spice, if you just have like a mild, like really good salsa, you're gonna love it. Right?
Yeah.
It's just. Yeah. I mean, in a way, like, really good things are not like the easy things.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to go for the easy thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's easy.
Store green salsa's like weird. Store green salsa is so weird because
it's like, what is it?
I never actually had it before. This is years ago. I made my own green salsa for something, and I'd had it like I had had it very infrequently, and I'd never had it from the store. Yeah, and I made my own. It was good, and so I went to the store and got some, and I was like, "What is this?" Yeah, it was like, yeah, cross between meter and zesty Italians. I don't even.
It's
so strange. Oh yeah, dude, radishes. That sounds great.
It sounds interesting.
But yeah, that applies pretty much across the board.
Yeah. Well, we could all talk about food.
We could just talk about food.
I'd say cooking is also a hobby of mine. I like cooking a lot. It's also my job, but that hardly counts. I don't count that because it's making the same thing over and over again. But I mean, you don't even have to do that much effort to like find the benefit of putting in the effort. I mean, with cooking, it's like there can be just like little things you can do that suddenly improve things, or like just simple recipes to learn. That it's like, oh, I could have been doing this way better all along. Or just, yeah, picking different ingredients, spending the time to figure that out. I was, I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, I want to get, I might go tomorrow, but I was going to go to the antique mall to pick out some nice, like, forks and spoons to have. So I have to drive somewhere to go look for that and spend the time to, like, look around instead of just buying. Because what I have right now is just, like, cheap stuff from, like, I think it's from the dollar store, honestly. I don't remember. But, you know, it's like, if I'm going to be using something every day, should at least be something that, like, I thought about, that I put serious consideration into having that thing be there and be, like, ever present, like the forks that I use. Just simple things like that. This is like a lot of what I've been thinking about. At least as far as like personal things. Because that's the most like immediately like affectable aspect.
On the art side of things, I don't know, I've like thought about this like again, gotta organize my thoughts. Because I've thought about this a whole lot.
There's like so many things to think about. Well, I was just gonna respond to Piper. I agree. I don't like when my spoon bends when I try and scoop ice cream.
No.
But also, so hopefully this cable still works. Oh no, what was I gonna say? I got distracted. Because it's not just like the quality of the spoon and like the material sense of like how strong it is, though that's definitely something I'll consider. But it's just like the actual act of like thinking about why I would have a particular fork or a particular spoon to have that for like regular use. There'd be a lot of things to consider. Because something I've been thinking about a lot around this stuff is like the idea of there's like crazy emojis you can do. The idea of what it means to consider the quality of something. And I think a lot of stuff in our society is approached almost like a spreadsheet. Like so many things about people's lives is considered like basically like you could distill a lot of how people look at their life to like cells on a spreadsheet, if that makes sense. Like how much money they make, or like how many cars they have, how many pieces of articles of clothing, like how much that next piece of clothing they're going to get is. Like it's all about very much in terms of like quantitative matter. And even on matters that people think of as matters of quality, they still think of it in that way. Where it's like, when they're thinking of like, oh, a good quality shoe is a shoe that can withstand above X number of steps or something. It's like, how long will it last? Which is useful, but like, I think quality is like not actually a quantifiable thing. If I'm making sense. And so like something like that where it's like you're really thinking about, again, like a fork. There's a quality to it that you're never going to be able to like distill to like some number in any way, shape, or form. It's like your thoughts have like, and your like connection to whatever leads you to that decision. Like the understanding of this is the quality I want. I don't know. I've just been thinking about like that difference between like when you're thinking about the qualities of a thing or of a person or an act. Are you actually thinking about the quality of it, or are you actually just thinking about some like quantitative data associated with it? It's like, can you like measure the thing? So well, I don't know, because I've been thinking about it and it's hard to describe because, again, it's something where it almost has to be like intuited on like how you like perceive quality, really.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about this.
Because even like the idea of the quality of a material, like let's say like a bed sheet, often it'll be like, oh, the thread count, and like it's made out of this material which has these properties, right?
Yeah.
Is like, but it's like, is that actually thinking of quality, or are you still just thinking of it as you're actually just thinking of numbers?
Yeah. I was actually just about to go back to the bed sheet. So we talked forever ago about the idea, if you recall, of way back when there was the tradition that, your great aunt or whatever would sew you like some really nice sheets, or assuming, well, so they'd be sewn, and so like talking about this, like they'd probably be pretty nice. I mean, it depends on what material they had access to, but so say that on the spreadsheet they'd be pretty nice, but there's so much more because they're like this gift from your family member that worked hard and like spent time to make it for just you.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like layers of quality there, because like you could look at the stats on like a Target sheet versus homemade sheet, and the stats on that Target sheet will probably be better, but there's a quality to it that just doesn't exist that the other one has. And it's it's not necessary. I mean, for me, like, I've been thinking about this. I don't think it's necessarily just sensory, because there's things where it's like just the knowing that somebody, say, made something for you, for example. That's not like something you sense, but it's something that you know about a thing, right? And it's a quality that aspect of, say, that sheet doesn't exist in any kind of like material sense at all. It's something that's entirely like your knowledge of that thing carries with it something that like imbues a meaning and significance to it beyond any kind of thing that you could like feel or smell. Those can enhance it.
It's got soul, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So a topic I had considered sending to you for your consideration was, there's a whole slew of videos on YouTube with people talking about art versus content.
Interesting.
And they're very interesting, because it's a lot of people who, most of them are like people on YouTube, trying to be YouTubers and frustrated with that like idea, trying to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's what you're talking about in that, or in the content, you just like, you got people who are like, oh yeah, you have to do this many posts a week, And so, you're on the spreadsheet then, and whatever you're making, you're like, oh, we're making this because we got to do this many a week, and on Wednesday we got to release the video, and
it's like we have to do it at this time, on this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I kind of discovered this, I don't know what you call it, thread of thought running through a whole bunch of YouTube videos. Just people who are super frustrated with that situation.
Yeah.
But that's like a pretty like clear modern example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, what's that kind of way of looking at things, and people realizing that it's like kind of a nightmare. Yeah. Where it's like it's like looking at like the numbers of things is pretty straightforward, and so it's easy to like do that. And it's easy to fall into something where it's like, oh, I need to make X number of videos on these days at this time, and I need to look at these analytics to understand what kind of things I need to talk about. Where it's like you kind of... And it's not necessarily that looking at that sort of thing's bad. There's a time and place, but it's very easy to have those ways of looking at things like be like how you look at everything.
Yeah, and it's like how this is like a long-standing problem for film, because film is so expensive. Like you said, there's a time and place. Like there's a time and a place for the producer, right? Mm-hmm. They need to like count all the shots and put them all on a big board, and how much is everything going to cost? Like it's important, but sometimes that movies are expensive, so you get like all of the movies made that are just to make money, I guess, would be the...
In a way. But it's like there's like some kind of formula that you kind of follow, where it's like, oh, I need to do this thing. Like you have... I'm trying to think how to describe it, because I don't know if it's necessarily just a money thing.
Yeah.
The money, in a way, is kind of the ultimate like embodiment of convenience.
Bum bum bum. That's a pretty whoa.
But there's a reason for that. Right? It's essentially an abstraction that does have utility. But again, it's like, is that everything? Because it is important to consider, like, say, how much of things you have, or how much stuff you want to do. But you do have to be careful of, are you just like, it's like, are you doing something just to have more? I don't know. Because you could apply it in a lot of ways. But,
yeah. The examples come pretty, like, hard and fast in my mind.
Well, once you start, like, thinking about this sort of stuff, you, like, start noticing it all over the place.
Yeah.
And it, like, kind of drives you a little bit crazy sometimes. Mostly with architecture stuff for me. That drives me nuts.
I still don't quite get it. I know we've talked about this so many times, but it's like, oh man, why can't you just make
it look good?
It kind of makes sense. Okay, it kind of makes sense with gross apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't know. You're like, I mean, obviously, why can't you just make it look good? But you can see you're like, oh hey, this Piper missed everything. We're having such good deep talk. Okay. You know, like how all the you can see somebody's like, oh hey, this like shipping container look is sure all the rage. That sure is easy if I just have mine look that way too. But then when you get like, you know, town hall or whatever, and it's stupid too.
I don't
like.
I really don't get
I
like the city hall or something like that. I can kind of get the apartment buildings. I still hate them a lot. And there's not really an excuse, but they are kind of the ultimate. They're like the apotheosis of spreadsheet thinking when it comes to like building stuff. Because it's so obvious, like looking at them, how much it's just like, okay, we have X number of like square feet that we can build on, and we want to have X number of units. Okay, like you can just like look at it and it feels like that.
Oh yeah, sterile white aesthetic is.
Yeah,
I've been
makes me mad too.
I
brought it up with some people at work as well. Because I sent them the Oscar Wilde thing because they were curious about it.
I loved how
and he Oscar Wilde brings that up.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he's like there's nothing worse than like a white wall.
I've been scheming about my white walls in my house. I'd been scheming about them before Oscar.
And then now you read that and you're like, oh my god.
But this is a stage of life thing. I'm like, man, how on earth am I supposed to get to these walls? Like when is this gonna happen? Okay, wait, but here's a sad story for everyone. Philip, I think, has heard this story. This is a sad story. For all you cool kids in the chat. And Brandon, my brother, you will forgive me if you ever hear this. You probably never will. Oh yeah, I bet there's some cool.
Yeah, I'm sure
there's some cool houses. Yeah, dude, in San Francisco. My brother, in one of his first big successful business ventures, took my grandpa's house after he finally moved out, which was not like the coolest house ever, but it was kind of an interesting. It was built in the 80s. And it had this deep, dark red brick everywhere. And then in the front room, it had. Oh, I used to know. What's the name of those walls? The big rock walls. They look like the 70s.
Yeah.
You
my house back home.
Yeah.
Had that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was surprised. I didn't know that this was a thing, but after seeing it done, I realized that it's a very, very much a thing for people who flip. So yeah, he had this guy who flipped houses, and he had the guy flip my grandpa's house. Yeah. And I think they did really well. And to be fair, it was really beat up in a lot of ways, and they really fixed up. But they basically poured a bucket of white paint over the entire house, including the brick, including the rock wall.
I don't understand that.
Including the rock wall.
All. I can kind of see it with brick. I still don't like it, but
the rock wall drives me nuts.
Yeah, that.
Well, because I understand, because you're like, oh, well, this rock wall is pretty, like, retro looking.
Like, yeah, but it also looks cool.
It's sweet. It was so cool looking. Oh, it was a big rip.
I'm just thinking, like,
again,
in my house, if you were to paint that over, it'd be, oh.
Just imagine a bucket of white paint over your
terrible.
whole house. That's what happened. And, again, Brandon, no direct hard feelings, if you ever hear this.
Just don't ever do that again.
But oh my gosh. the lack of taste. Yeah, so after you've seen it looking at houses. After he did that, I realized that that's like what flippers do. Like it's like the thing right now, and it is so that the buyer may have a blank slate to work with. A white canvas
that they're not even gonna do any good with.
No, they're gonna buy their
they're gonna
stupid
put
trinkets.
They're gonna put a little scamp cutout on on the wall, and next to one that says "believe," and then have like a little swirly glass structure on their coffee table. Yeah,
it was a sad, but yeah, the white. No, I'm slowly working my way up. I'm gonna chinoiserie something in my house. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna paint like a freaking peacock
make your own peacock room.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Actually, I figured out just today. I thought of how to do it. Whoops, that is my alarm. So this time I'm gonna let the tea sit for a little longer, for those counting along. I figured out how to do it, which is to make a screen. By how to do it, I mean how to do it without the dire consequences of what if it doesn't turn out great and you've just done it. You've like attacked your wall. I don't know how I didn't think of this before, but yeah, people totally make like screens and that basically like cover the wall.
Okay. Interesting.
Because if you knew exactly what you wanted, and you had somebody who was like of the utmost competence, then you could totally be like, hey, I need some like peacocks and some orange trees and maybe like a tiger on my wall. But
you don't want them messing that up.
But since this is something I would probably be doing, might.
Beef with gray. You don't like gray?
My least favorite aesthetic though was, I don't know if I can conjure it up for you, but it was like in the like 2008, 2010-ish. Everything was like this like painfully cozy, like browns and tans. I'm trying to think. I feel like it kind of went away, which thank heavens. But if I could pull up a picture.
Yeah, if you found a picture.
I know.
'Cause I don't know.
I don't know what I would type to get it though. But like every cozy suburban house was painted, like all the interiors were like this like creamy tan. I
feel like, I don't know.
I don't know how to find it.
I almost know what you're talking about, but also at that time I was not going in like new houses very often.
It's just all of my friends' parents' houses in Cache Valley looked like this. And I remember it was one of the first times I like noticed a conspicuous interior decoration thing is I went into a doctor's office and I was like, I'm being smothered by this like comfortable, it's like It's like monochrome tan brown. I don't know how to find it. Anyway, until I can. Gray.
The gray walls in your house.
Yeah, gray's like...
It's like... That might actually, like, for a wall... That actually might be worse than white. I guess it depends on the gray, but... Gray's kind of a very broad category.
Yeah.
But I'd say most of the time it would be not ideal for a wall.
Yeah, if it's just like gray.
Yeah.
Like not, like a desaturated color.
Mm-hmm.
Because that can be okay depending. Like our wall's like a dark desaturated blue.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, at least with like a white wall, if you do something like put like a framed picture on it, it can be kind of nice. Like it doesn't, nothing weird is going on with it. Just everything gray.
Piper was like, "Is there color in my life?"
You like walk into your house and it's like black and white movie. Just everything's just no color.
And Tom and Piper just moped about in their black and white movie because it was like a French New Wave movie. They were like, "Oh, the sadness." That's my impression of a French New Wave movie.
But yeah, the walls in here are like an okay color, I guess. Yeah. They're not just like white.
They're kind of like that color I was talking about.
Yeah, it's almost beige. It's like a pretty light beige. Though I don't like the texture of the wall. I don't like that it's like bumpy. It makes it really annoying to put up like command strips, which is annoying because that's how I hang up.
Because they only have.
That's how I hang up pictures.
Because they have like tiny little bumps to hold on to instead of.
Yeah, it like screws with the adhesive. It's really annoying.
This is kind of it. This is more like yellow.
Okay.
Let me see if I can home in on it more.
It's like a hotel room.
It's kind of what everything looked like. It's kind of hotel roomy.
Hotel aesthetic.
So I'm trying to home in on this.
Whoa.
Aesthetic that everything was back when I got home.
Yeah, that would be around when I got back from the mission.
Yeah. But I
was like immediately in like college dorms.
Yeah.
Which were all like really old. But the idea is thinking about these things is important.
Yeah.
And then like what action you take to address it. And just like you can like win little battles whenever you decide to not just wear pajama pants to Smith's. It's like a little victory. Or realizing that your bedroom is all gray and that you have to do something about it. but also attendant to it is like, because kind of connected to Oscar Wilde's stuff and also Leo Tolstoy, because one of the things where they kind of overlap is like the sincerity of like the creation of things that you have. So I've been like trying to think of like, for example, I want to find somewhere that makes plates around here so I can get a nice plate that somebody made, not in like a Chinese factory.
Yeah.
And I want to start doing that with as many things as I can, because I think there's definitely like again, it's one of those like quality things where it's just the fact that it's like somebody handmade that thing, and that's like, especially if it's like somebody you could like actually like talk to, would be kind of cool. Just like some like connection on a human level with regards to like, say, the plates that you have in your house or the bowls that you use or like clothes that you wear. Yeah, buying art from somebody. But yeah, because that's also like the thing since the last time when we talked about Oscar Wilde stuff is, for example, finding somebody that can make shoes locally. And as far as I'm aware, there are 0 people in the state of Utah that know how to make shoes. I know that there's no way that that's the case. There's got to be at least one guy or girl out there that can make shoes. But I don't know where they are. There's a bunch of places that make like, you can get like a suit made or something. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, suit's easy.
Get a pair of pants made or something. But like, I've been thinking about that sort of stuff a lot. Because in a way, too, it's almost like the knowledge of how to do that stuff doesn't exist. I know you can like look up things, like if you want to know how to make shoes, you can look up how to make shoes. But there's no way that like the wiki how on like how to make a pair of shoes actually gives you like a good depth of understanding of what it takes to make like a really good pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like bare bones. Whereas like somebody that say has done it for like 20 years is gonna have like a very intimate knowledge of shoemaking.
Yeah,
and there's like those people don't exist anymore. Because for a long time it would have been like, oh yeah, my dad and his dad made shoes, I make shoes. And you just have like generational knowledge passed on. And after a while it's like you'd have people who are really good at making shoes. And then Nike exists or whatever, and then you can just like pump shoes out of a factory.
I mean, it's me making the bunk bed.
Yeah.
It's like 2x4s slapped together because suddenly I realized that carpentry's not easy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. like if I were to try and make a pair of shoes, like I think I could make something serviceable.
Yeah.
But the thing is they're not gonna be like great shoes. You know, I'd have to spend a bunch of time like getting good at it. And it's, I don't know. To me, it's like kind of sad thinking about the fact that you don't have kind of that sort of self-sufficient community aspect of like having a town where it's like, oh yeah, in any town you just have somebody that knows how to like make a shoe.
What is it, the WikiHow?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like the WikiHow should start with go find a cow and get its leather.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also another one I was thinking about is like, does anybody know how to like do like stonework? Are there like masons?
Well, we've talked about
any
this
sort?
at a certain level. There's definitely all of these things, but very, very, very few of them.
But the thing is, at one point there was like lots of people that knew how to do that.
Yeah, you can't really be like a.
Well, the thing is, you can make shoes with just like hand tools.
Yeah.
But they are a complicated like article
yeah.
to produce, which is why not that many people do it. Yeah, for a hobbyist. Well, and part of it is so. And this is gets into kind of another thing I was thinking about with regards to this, because we've been talking about kind of like on a personal level, like what this stuff entails. But like beyond that, it gets, because there is also like an aspect of like, well, more people need to be conscientious about these sorts of things, but you can't like do much about that. Because for example, like if lots of people were, you probably would have like your local shoe maker existing, because people would care about that.
Well, a lot of things that we've talked about, again, it goes to convenience, but like, yeah, it's on a societal level. Nobody cares because the convenient thing, like, it's so easy to go get your bed sheets from Target.
Yeah.
And it would be cool if like great aunt Matilde like made you some bed sheets. Although I think a lot of people, if you were to ask them, would be like, wait, why would she, like, you're like, why?
So instead, no, your aunt just like
Gives you a gift card
or puts it on like a registry or something.
Yeah.
For you to go buy the like sweatshop sheets.
Yeah.
From Target or wherever they get it. I don't know if they're made in a sweatshop. They could be.
Probably. I think there's a good chance.
A good chance.
There's a good chance that most of these things that we're talking about are made with some slave labor.
Somewhere down the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Sewing would be so cool. Here's the problem, is I learn about these things and I want to do all of them. But
for sure.
But this is what Oscar Wilde's talking about and what we're talking about is you really need the person who who's practiced for 20 years, and you need the person who's practiced for 20 years in all these different things. Like, you can't do them all yourself.
Yeah. Like, you need people to, like, specialize in crafts to, like, really, like, understand and be, like, focused on that.
Yeah.
Like, you need somebody who is, like, a tailor that really understands, like, how to... Yeah, exactly. Well, this is a thing for example, when I was in the Dominican Republic, and I brought this up a number of times, is there are so many tailors and seamstresses just everywhere. And sure, they might not be, like, the best. Some of them are probably really good. But the thing is you still could just, like, you could walk in any direction, and within, like, 3 blocks, you'll probably find some guy who has a sewing machine in his garage, and you could ask him, be like, hey, I want a 3-piece suit, and like, all right, come back in 2 weeks, I'll have it for you for, like, $80.
Yeah.
And
it'd be like, here's like 4,000 pesos or whatever.
Yeah, it's like within, like, a mile radius, there's probably, like, in any given, like, point in, like, Santo Domingo, there's probably, like, 6 tailors that could, like, make you custom clothes. You just got to bring them the fabric and be like, they'll take your measurements and they'll just, like, make stuff for you. And it's... So it's like... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and this...
But the thing is if enough people did it and enough people had interest in it, it's like, would it be as expensive? Also, it's like, do you need to have as many clothes as you do? That's another thing. Oscar Wilde even brings that up, where he's like, man, it used to be people just be like, well, I have, like, some nice clothes, and I'll wear the nice clothes at any opportunity that makes sense to wear them. It's like, I have this, like, hand-me-down dress. It's like, I'm happy to wear this hand-me-down dress because it's good, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So it's like, I want to wear it. Instead of being like, I have 50 dresses, it's like, well, I have, like, this one nice one. It's like, I have... Yeah, exactly. And that's like when I got rid of a bunch of my clothes when I moved out of my last apartment. I, like, realized, like, oh, I don't wear, like, any of this. You're like, come to a realization, like, why do I have all these clothes?
I'm pretty good at this. I pretty much don't have enough clothes. This is Thoreau's ghost, like, haunting me for years. I only have, like, a couple t-shirts, and I only stop wearing them when, like, I recently had to get some new shirts. Because of what we talked about, and I kind of want to be, like, a little more, like, I decided I kind of like the bright and colorful a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But also... So yeah, I'm kind of good at this one. Though now I want to be, again, like I said last time, I want to be haunted by Oscar Wilde rather than Thoreau.
Yeah.
But well, yeah, Thoreau would be like, he'd be like, whoa, you got 2 pairs of clothes, huh? That one's just gathering dust in the corner, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, if you think about it, like... Sure, people don't want to spend, say, let's say, like, $80 on, like, a nice shirt. But they'll spend, like, that much on, like, 4 t-shirts. And then after, like, a few months, they're only wearing, like, one of those.
Yeah.
On any regular basis. So it's like, kind of people end up spending the same amount of money on, like, that.
Yeah.
Stuff anyway. It's sort of like if you're buying, like, cheap shoes, for example, that wear out fast, it's like you're gonna end up probably spending a lot more over the course of, like, 10 years than if you just bought like a really sturdy pair of shoes or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, if you're not gonna... Oh yeah, Piper, you probably you and Tom probably have like infinity band T-shirts. Yeah, and you can't wear them all.
I mean, you
It's
can.
like, do you even want to?
You have to wear one a day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice shoes is.
Yeah. That's kind of might be my next like clothing purchase. Is I do want to get some really good shoes. That's part of why I've been like kind of constantly thinking about a shoemaker, because I'd be willing to spend quite a bit of money on like just like a nice pair of shoes that like some guy makes.
It's funny that you could totally get a custom suit, and the shoe thing is so hard. Whatever, but they exist. They're in Italy. They just don't exist here. Like, they just don't exist in Utah Valley, but there are 100% like bespoke shoemakers in the world. They're just not here.
There's gotta be one.
There's probably is.
It's like kind of driving me crazy, because it's like because that would be great. That would be like the ideal thing, is like if there's just some guy that makes shoes and that I could be like, hey, measure my feet, make me a custom pair of shoes, I'll spend a bunch of money on it. I'd be willing to.
Yeah, because we found the hat guy.
Yeah, there's a hat guy. There's probably multiple hat guys, but there's at least the one that we know about.
Yeah. I don't know how many hat guys there can be in that market. Yeah, California, probably East Coast, West Coast. I'm sure there's bespoke shoemakers. You don't have to go to Italy.
But
it's still
that partially. I mean, it doesn't totally defeat the purpose.
No.
Because like I'm thinking about like the idea of just like, kind of like going to like
somewhere
the local butcher shop where it's like, oh, this is from like a local ranch.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing. Because part of it isn't just kind of the aesthetics of it.
Maybe.
But it's like the consideration of, because another thing that we've like talked about a lot is like kind of like the placeness of like a person.
Yeah.
And if you can find somebody who can make shoes for you in the place where you are, that's ideal. But I don't. Okay. I'm not like that so attached to it. Maybe, but I'm not gonna like travel to California to do it. I don't think.
You should travel to Italy though.
Go to Italy just to
that'd
get
be more
shoes.
Fun.
All right. I bet there's other places that make shoes.
Well, here's what you do. Here's my plan. Because we found there are like cobblers, quote unquote, in Utah, but they only do shoe repair. But I maybe just walk in there and be like, hey,
how much to
do you guys make a shoe? And if they're like, we don't make that, they'd be like, tell me who does.
Yeah. Because
they're in the shoe world.
Yeah.
They might know. Or I bet one of them does make shoes. Yeah, you can get him. That's true. You can totally get cowboy boots.
I could do that. I actually have like contemplated getting some cowboy boots. Because they're actually really cool.
Yeah, my brother-in-law claims that they are super comfortable and all-purpose, and his cowboy boots are handmade. Probably.
That's something to consider. I don't know if I'd wear cowboy boots for like everything though.
I think you'd have to wear cowboy boots for everything. You'd be the cowboy boots guy.
It'd be pretty cool. I could be.
Then you'd have to get a hat. You'd have to get one of like the $800 hats from that guy.
Get a Stetson hat.
Yeah.
I guess if it's one that he makes, it wouldn't be a Stetson hat anymore.
It's
like the felt hat.
Yeah.
Felt cowboy hat.
I have a Stetson hat. My uncle got it for me. Like, I used to collect funny hats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just funny, but I used to collect all sorts of hats in high school.
Yeah.
Which my hat collection is all boxed up in some corner in my mom's house, but it's pretty cool. It's just, it takes up like an entire, like, like my hat rack thing that I have is like half the size of your office. It's like this gigantic like thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I don't know. Someday it'll come out, and it will, and my children will have lots of hats to like wear for fun.
That'll be your legacy.
Yeah.
That's all they'll remember.
Yeah, they'll be like, boy, this one pirate hat sure is cool. So, cause most of them are like funny hats.
Mm-hmm.
But my uncle got me I can't remember if it's, I think it's a Stetson hat, but like a really, really, really nice,
Mm-hmm.
really high quality fedora. And it's just sitting in a box in my house because I got it from my mom's, and because I was like, this is like $1,000 hat my uncle got me.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is I look like a doofus when I wear.
I know, it's like
You just can't wear a fedora. There's nowhere to wear it.
It's like we're like 100 years past when you would wear this.
When I put it on, I look like the worst like try-hard hipster. It just doesn't work at all. So I have it in there, and I'm like, this is like a nice hat. But
it's like, when do you wear this?
I don't know, when you're
like
when
what?
it's like 40s gangster night. I don't know. Oh, I want to wear a beret. I've thought about that. My problem is that I have a curly mustache and a weird beard and long hair, and it doesn't take very much for it to be too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing is, like, with long hair, I don't know what to do with a hat.
Wear a beret and put your hair up in a knot, and like it just like sits in the beret. The problem with the beret is that the problem with most hats is that they're not like a social. They're like not normal. Like especially like a beret.
Yeah.
So when you wear it, you're like really conspicuous.
Yeah. It's like the only hats are like beanies and baseball caps.
Yeah.
That's like all anybody wears.
And maybe like one of those weird, like modern fedoras.
Like a trilby.
Yeah, that are also kind of dumb looking, but a lot of people can get away with it.
I don't know if they get away with it.
Yeah, I don't think they do usually, but
that's like I remember. I don't know if did I tell you the story of the guy at the country dancing that was wearing one?
No, that's me spilling. No, but also you didn't tell me the story.
Oh, he was like, I like stepped outside to just cool off, and there's this guy with a fedora talking to this girl, and he's like, yeah, I think it really says something about my personality. You know, I just really felt drawn to this hat, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it was like the most like stereotypical like fedora wearer trying to justify why they're wearing a fedora, and it's like, what? Yeah, why are you wearing this? This is country swing dancing. The fedora looks weird. It's like if you're gonna have a hat, you wear a cowboy hat.
It has like neck beard,
and even then, like
written all over it. Yeah.
Well, he had like the scraggliest beard. He was every bit the stereotype.
It's okay. He can find himself like hot topic girl, and they can live happily ever after.
Newsboy hat.
If you're old enough, a cap. A cap can be okay.
I see old guys with like the like, what do you call that?
A cap, just like a cap.
Yeah, I saw a guy with like a 70-year-old man in Smith's the other day that had one.
Yeah, that's actually my plan. When I'm an old dude, I'll totally just like wear like a cap, like a little. I used to know their exact name. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember. Oh, what are they called?
They have.
I forget.
Yeah, I forgot too. But yeah. That's true. Old guys can wear anything. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Because you can never. everybody always forgets, like,
that's when I'm gonna wear the beret.
They'll like look at you and be like, that guy's like 70, but they'll always be like, 70. That's like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like you could get away with whatever, even though it's like at this point, it's like if you wore like a hat like that, like a cap, it wouldn't make any sense because you're like, well, I was born in the 80s, and in the 90s, nobody wore hats. My whole life, wearing hats has always been like, you either wear like a beanie if it's cold out, or you wear a baseball cap. Maybe like a bucket hat if you're like camping or fishing or something.
Oh, dude, a bucket hat. Those are great for gardening.
Yeah, like, bucket hats are very practical.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We're talking about going to the farmer's market in style.
I guess people wear cowboy hats somewhat acceptably. You can get away with a cowboy hat.
You can totally get away with it.
They're also pretty cool. I will say is cowboy aesthetic is actually pretty great.
Okay, so
I'm like mostly a fan of it.
I have in my hat collection, I have like this wide brimmed low top black cowboy hat. It's my bad guy hat.
Yeah.
Should I just wear that around, my bad guy hat?
Yeah.
Because it's totally like you're the bad guy in the 1940s cowboy movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah, I also don't really like wearing hats.
Yeah, and hats don't look good on everyone either. As like a...
Yeah.
Like... Should we all just be cowboys?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
We're just gonna go for cowboy, I guess.
What about pirates? That's a pretty good one. Good aesthetic. Should we all be pirates? Okay, we can all be cowboys.
You'd have like a... Yeah. I mean, you could almost wear that shirt with a cowboy hat. The paisley goes with it.
Well, would it... So my...
Just like, it'd be kind of like a twist on the cowboy look.
My starting point for wearing stuff a little more interesting was my entire mood board was basically just what would Jimi Hendrix wear. And if you look at it, like half the stuff he wears basically is like cowboy attire.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, because he'd wear like jeans and some boots, and then like a funny like military jacket or like a hussar jacket.
Yeah.
Like, but that's for like performances and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna...
Yeah, there's like certain things that like can still kind of work.
I'm gonna wear my bad guy.
Like a cowboy look kind of works. You can kind of get away with like elements of like sailor aesthetic.
Dude, I'm gonna look like Donald Duck.
Yeah. But like peacoats are still kind of cool. They can look pretty nice. And that's like pretty ancient clothing technology. Denim. Yeah, denim's usually
Denim. Yeah.
I mean, you do kind of have to like think about what you're like kind of pairing it with, because you don't want to wear like all denim. That looks crazy.
Or you could.
You have to like go all out. You can't like half-heartedly do like a denim on denim thing.
If you do denim on denim, you look like you're like an 80s cowboy. Well,
I don't know.
No, maybe
not fedoras.
Canadian tuxedo.
I feel like you need to have like a mullet to go with it or something. Tom can pull it off. Again, I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd look weird.
Also, girls can wear way cooler things. Madeline has also basically the exact same bad guy cowboy hat that she only got like a year or two ago, and she can totally wear that like anywhere, and it just looks fine, looks absolutely normal. Even though it's not as cool as my bad guy hat. The top is like this tall. Like it's very flat.
I bought my first pair of jeans like 2 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
But it's also like the only pair of jeans that I have.
I'm pretty I wear lots of jeans now.
It was just annoying finding what fits, because now that I know what fits exactly, it'll be easier. I just remember the first time it was like kind of tedious.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'd like try on a bunch and be like, oh, this
except for I've already forgotten the numbers. But here's the secret. Is that now that every single pair of jeans is actually like laced with
yeah, they're all
like 5%, like 5 spandex or whatever, it's way better than old jeans.
Yeah.
Like old jeans
like super stiff.
Were like
yeah. The thing is, each brand's gonna be different. I know exactly which Levi's work for me. Stuff pants? What? Stiff? Oh. No, I don't like stiff pants.
Yeah, old jeans where it's like, well, I've been wearing these for 5 years and they're finally loosening up a little. That's true. Maybe the problem the whole time is that only ever had like crappy denim.
Maybe.
But I mean, I just didn't wear jeans for a long time.
Me neither. No, yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. I do feel like another thing I've wanted to get is like some kind of jacket. I mean, I have kind of a couple jackets, but one of them's actually more of like just like a heavy shirt. If you shower in jeans that are too small,
but then how am I supposed to wash my legs? I'm not gonna
put on jeans that are too small.
Oh,
so uncomfortable.
That are too small.
Wait, I don't even know how you get on jeans that are too small.
You just have to have them on long enough to get into the shower.
I remember when I was trying jeans, and it's like I can't wear like slim fit or I don't understand how anybody can wear skinny jeans.
Me neither.
Like I like slim fit ones. I can't even get them like past my calves. So I can't imagine. I don't think I could even fit my arms like in like the leg of like a skinny jean. It doesn't make any sense. Well, the jeans I have fit fine. I don't remember what the number is either. It's like 504 Levi's or something. I don't know. Flared jeans. Anyway. Where were we? We're just talking about clothes.
Yeah. We're like far afield. Not that far afield, but like kind of.
Well, I guess like the direction I was kind of going was beyond just like the personal consideration of these things, which is what you can control.
Yeah.
But just thinking about like the aspects of it where it goes beyond that. It's like what can you do there? And I don't know.
You can make it cool so that hopefully somebody else wants it. Somebody else is into it, and then eventually someday all of the truffle trees grow back.
Well, it's like, yeah. Well, along
all of the cobblers come back to the truffle tree environment.
All the cobbler trees come back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's like, one is like, I want to know if there is a cobbler that exists on Earth. And things like that. Like other things as well that are less like immediately pertinent to my own life. Things like somebody that can do like stone working. Like, I'm just like curious about that. I'm like,
I bet that one would be not that hard to find.
There's gotta be. But the thing is like, how many nobody,
it might be more.
Nobody does that though. Like, if you like look at buildings, like, nobody, there's no like stone like carved like elements. Besides like the temple has stuff.
So that's what I was just thinking. So this is my guess. I guess if you were to look into it and you say, hey, temple making committee,
however that works.
Yeah, like what are the stone people? Yeah. So, because originally I thought, oh, well, this might actually be like a weirdly good place for it. But my guess is I bet they'd be like, oh, yeah. The person who does all the beautiful stonework, they're the specialist from like Sweden. It'd be something like that.
It could be.
They'd be like, oh, yeah, this guy from Sweden is one of the finest stoneworkers in the world, and we use him.
Yeah.
That's my guess. Or maybe it would be more local. It could be.
I know, like, at the Provo City Center Temple, there's a lot of local sandstone used.
Yeah. They're still quarrying in Utah, but whether or not it's getting... But then, again, there's probably somebody... Again, it's like if you go to the quarry and you're like, hey, quarry, do you sell to, like, stone masons? And they'd be like, yeah, here's our list.
Man. Well, actually, I wonder...
Maybe.
I don't know. That'd be something to look into. The other day, just... What was I even doing? I was just working on stuff in here, and I, like... got to thinking, I was thinking about, like, as I develop my gallery space of my studio, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have, like, a 3D piece, like a little bronze statue or something. And then I started looking and just like, what do you have to do to, like, make a bronze statue? And just for fun, I was like, just looked up Utah bronze statue place. I don't remember. I looked up. I found out there's like 3 or 4 like bronze statuary foundries in Utah. There's for sure one in Salt Lake. There's one in like Spanish Fork and one in like Springville, and they do like major works. And it's like, why are there so many of those? Like, I can't find anyone that makes shoes, but I found like 3 different foundries that each like have like several artists that produce bronze statues, like life-size bronze statues.
Maybe because
and it's like, whoa, why are there so many of these?
Maybe because in the world there's still this like weirdly large demand for it in a lot of things, whereas absolutely nobody wants a pair of shoes made because you can just go.
There's like demand for like at least a dozen people that produce statues that cost tens of thousands of
there's
dollars,
still these
but nobody
things-
wants to
Nobody wants
pay somebody like $500 to make some bespoke shoes or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say temples definitely probably create like an interesting little like cottage industry. Although, like I said, I would guess that a lot of the stuff they'd be like, oh yes, the like gilding is this like specialist guy from New York. I don't know.
I know.
That'd be my guess.
I mean, I know they do a lot to try and like have it be as incorporated into the local area. And I'm sure part of that would be trying to get like the craftsmen in that area to do stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, actually. I don't know how it works.
I know. I think they do that with like when they have like murals. I don't think they usually like ship in like a mural artist from super far. But I don't know. Probably just depends. I know for sure like materials usually I don't think they usually like ship exotic materials for wherever they're at.
Yeah, interesting.
I think they usually try and again, like the Provo Temple has like a lot of sandstone. They're not like making it like using like marble on like at least on the exterior.
Well, maybe there is like
how much marble? I bet there's marble in Utah. I don't know. I know there's a crap ton of sandstone.
I don't know.
I don't know the mining lore of Utah besides that there's copper, iron, and sandstone and gravel.
Granite.
Yeah, but there's plenty of granite.
Yeah, there's granite. Yeah.
Because also it's like something I was curious about. It's like not only finding, say, somebody that knows how to make shoes, but how many people are there just around that might be interested in making shoes? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't...
Because it's like... Because that's probably much more than the actual number of people that do it. Like, potential want to do that sort of a thing.
Maybe.
But...
The shoe one is so weird because it's like... You could almost like... It just almost feels like something that's like extinct.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of
But it feels weird that it would be, too.
It does feel weird, but... It feels weird, but it's not like unbelievable that it could just be killed because, again, you can just go get Nikes off the shelf and
for about the same price that you get the handmade shoes anyway.
I had a thought, but I lost it because I totally lost my thought. It's gone. I don't know, the things I guess is interesting on like trends on a cultural level is interesting, I guess. Cause yeah, it's like the cobbler thing is like, be like, what would it take to get cobblers rolling?
I don't
know. To get the truffle trees back.
Well, I mean, part of it is, in a way, I'm trying to think how to word it. Like, the lack of cobblers is less the problem specifically as it is like almost like a symptom of what the actual problem is.
Oh, I bet point shoes are wild.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that always have like such like a specificity to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's a thought. Oh, I'm tired, but it's probably why let's see if I can get a third one because I'm on my second one right now. So years ago, I read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, I believe it's called. Which the premise or it's a book about this guy who went and lived in Savannah, Georgia for a few years and met all like the zany people there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's a really fun book about basically just Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good book to sell. It makes you want to go there real bad. But he recounts how there was all of these wonderful, beautiful architect or like homes. There were just rows and rows of them. And they were all falling into disrepair, and the like contractors were like homing in.
Mm-hmm.
They were gonna tear them down, and they were gonna like throw up like who knows what, like apartments and tract housing.
Yeah.
And this like old socialite lady
Mm-hmm.
was like, we can't do this, but so what she did is she kind of paid attention, and she saw that the ones that were getting bought up by these kind of like young rich bachelors.
Mm-hmm.
So she started like inviting them to parties and talking about the houses, and she got them like all excited, and so it became like this trend.
Yeah.
With like these kind of like this like group or class of like wealthy bachelors
Mm-hmm.
to like buy the houses, and she essentially like saved this whole like district because it was like
just hyping people up about the houses
because it became like the thing to do to like buy these houses and restore them.
Oh, interesting.
So, and that's kind of like where the it's a fun book, but it's like where the story begins because they're all like a bunch of like the people this guy met were these like bachelors that lived in these like cool old houses that and it was like, but yeah, it became like the cool thing to do was to like restore these houses.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like somebody has like a hobbyist like restores like old Coke machines or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, so like on a large, not like a large scale, but like on like a certain level for a certain part of the culture, it was like cool to be like into these old houses and like take care of them.
Interesting. I'm not a rich old lady socialite.
I know. Well, and I'm not a rich bachelor either. I don't know, it's interesting. Well, my mind's kind of going different, like
because in a sense it's like, I guess what I'm interested in is, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money to deal with.
No.
It's just more getting people interested. Because in a sense, instead of like empty houses, it's like empty professions.
Yeah.
It's like abandoned, withering house. Instead, it's like the absence of like cobblers.
But all I'm saying is if somehow everyone was like, dude, you know what's cool? Custom shoes.
Yeah.
Then some cobblers would start cropping up.
But could you say like work with somebody and get them into making shoes and then try and market them or something
probably
as cool? I don't even know how you go about that.
Yeah, that you'd have to be someone who does things like that. You'd have to have at least 100 followers on the social medias. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm. But it's just, it's interesting. I mean, I have like other thoughts, but I don't know how much they directly apply to this. Because also, like, I've thought about, like, like what makes like a place particular in that regard, like with like the way people dress or whatever. Because now it's like everywhere is kind of the same.
Yeah.
But for most of human history, it's like it'd be like distinctive, like for example, like what people wear in one place versus another place. Whereas now it's like everywhere is like jeans and a t-shirt. Like everywhere.
Well, and I think that's why people get like real fascinated by like Japan or like New Orleans or places that like maintain like a kind of like a strong culture.
Yeah. Where it's like there's still like a distinctiveness there. Yeah. No, because there's definitely like something to be said about like where something's like immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
There's something cool about that.
Also,
and it's like, how do you develop that?
I feel like,
I mean, in a way, it's not like deliberate.
Yeah, because these things grow naturally over the course of like hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like you get your charming little village in France that like basically grew on its own for 500 years.
Yeah.
And they're almost. Or what I don't remember it's like a Roger Scruton thing where he's like they're all very different and they're all invariably beautiful because you're talking about villages in like Europe.
Yeah, they just develop their own look and feel.
Yeah,
they'll have like their own like little traditions and their own festivals and little folk songs and stuff.
I know. I feel like a cultural orphan.
It's like I feel like you like grew up in a strip mall or something.
Kinda. I kinda do feel like I kinda did grow up in a strip mall.
No, I know it's.
There's the guy that we didn't have gone to his Rim Cool House.
Oh yeah, he's on the.
Yeah, I saw him on the thing.
He's on the.
But.
He's the bald guy.
I just like. I completely wasn't even on my radar, even though. That's a pretty like.
I mean,
effective way to look at like modernity.
Yeah.
It's junk space.
Or like born and raised in junk space.
Yeah.
And it's like what's like the toll?
Yeah.
That has on like on you to like just be around that from like the moment you're born, basically. Yeah. So you're like, it's like until you like read something like that where it suddenly is like you're just like running through like all your memories and thinking about what that essay is talking about, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like I've been living in a nightmare.
I've been living in like a cheap like cultural pastiche
that is like absolutely incoherent.
Yeah.
And devoid of any like sincerity.
Yeah.
It's like you're just like, this is.
Yeah, Utah has strawberries. Well, somewhere it's strawberries is specific to some city.
It's American Fork.
Yeah, every single
up there.
every single city in Cache Valley has its own like days.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess that's kind of charming.
Mm-hmm.
They're all the same. I mean, like the same. Like if you go to one, you've been to the mall. There's like a bounce house. And so here's the funny thing. Yeah, Pleasant Grove.
Oh, it is Pleasant Grove.
Because we should go back to Cool House because an interesting line of thought. But so in Cache Valley, yeah, again, every like little city has one, and they're all it's Apple Days, Peach Days. Peach Days is actually Brigham City, but
it's close enough.
Yeah, yeah,
it's on the way.
I guess what I'm getting at is every single one of them is fruit except for Providence, my hometown, which is sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut days.
Sauerkraut days. Which now that I'm an adult, I'm like, dang, I want to go to sauerkraut days. As a kid, you're like, what on earth?
It's like, why is that hard?
Yeah, you're like River Heights, which is like Providence's little brother, gets apples. Like Apple Days sounds way better than sauerkraut days. But yeah, now I'm like, I want to go to sauerkraut days.
It's like sauerkraut's great.
Yeah. Like, who cares about all that? I want sauerkraut days. So yeah, so there are those. You're right. Little areas still have their things. Something vaguely about German settlers in Providence, Utah's past, but nobody knows. Somebody knows. Some old guy knows probably.
Yeah.
But like,
it's almost, yeah.
But there's a bounce house. And and a bunch of stands where you wait while your parents try sauerkraut and you're like, this sucks. That's like what I remember about sauerkraut days is you're like, why am I here? Oh yeah, Pioneer Days that's true. It's a very own thing.
Mm-hmm. There's that. But yeah. It's like just the curiosity I have is like, what would it take for, say, like Provo to have like do something like develop its own like clothing style or something, which will never happen because it's just a part of like the morass of general like modern culture.
Yeah, like the wind blowing in from California.
Basically, yeah. And everything's just kind of generally same. Just like a broad sameness that is everywhere.
I think you'd have to have like there'd have to be like a group of people that made it. I'm trying to think of like how this happens in places.
Well, I mean, normally it would just be like it happens over time where there's like, oh, it's practical to wear this type of clothes, but eventually it just like,
yeah, that's like the real way this happens. But I'm trying to think of like
we're in a situation where that's like functionally impossible to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like more narrow trends where I feel like it's like something like, oh, hey, there was this town in California and it got expensive and everyone moved out and then like all the artists moved in.
Yeah.
And they made like a trend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it would take.
Well,
let's start like dressing a certain way. I mean, we kind of do weirdly enough. Has nobody noticed your like luscious hair? Does not everybody want to copy you?
Try and get everybody to grow out their hair. Yeah, I don't.
My hair's too scraggly, but your hair's like looking like fool.
No, it's something I was just curious about. It's
yeah,
like, how would you go about that? Is it possible? I don't know. Because it's like the sort of thing where it's like you need to get enough people into it that... Because it's the sort of thing where you have to have like buy-in from like a significant amount of just the general public
Yeah.
in the area, which that's not easy to do.
And it almost has
To be like, oh, these kind of shoes are like the cool shoes to wear here. But it would be like outside of here, it'd be like, what are those shoes? And people might be like, that's stupid. But they also might be like, wow, that's really cool. Who knows? Does that matter? I don't know.
What happens is you also have corporations hovering like vultures, just looking for the trend.
Yeah. You have to be like, stop, go away.
Yeah.
Because you have like active, it's not just like there's like the passive, just general culture that exists, but you actually have like active like institutions that will like cannibalize anything you do.
Yeah.
Like let's say like you got,
like the more edgy it looks, the like more they want it.
Like if you say came up with like a type of cool like looking shirt, that everybody here wears, all of a sudden you'd have like, I don't know, like the Gap show up and be like, go to your people that are making those shirts and be like, we want to pay you like $10 million for this type of shirt or whatever to be able to manufacture it ourselves. And you have to be like, no, we're the only people that get to make this.
And then they'd be like, well, okay, and they'd go and make it anyway.
Yeah. And then you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
You have to sue them, and it's a whole big mess. Just like actively like makes that sort of thing like practically impossible. So it's like everything just like defaults to like, again, like just what's convenient.
Yeah, it wasn't because you're just like, design theft. There's no like need, unless it's something super specific. There's no need to like ask permission. You're just like, oh, this thing's popular.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Silicon Valley fashion. Here's one that has grown up naturally. If you go to Park City in the winter, there's a look.
There is.
There is a.
Or you go up to like Heber.
Yeah, there is a very.
Area. I remember going up there 2 winters ago. I was in Heber and I was in the Smiths. And it's like, there's like a uniform.
Yeah.
It's like so consistent.
Yeah, I remember.
It's kind of weird.
I remember we were in like a cafe in Park City in the wintertime, and I like almost felt out of place.
Yeah, I'm not wearing the same.
I wasn't wearing like the sleek ski attire.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Silicon Valley. There are places where this like crops up. Oh yeah, that Park City look. I forgot all about that. That is is very real.
Yeah, I don't know. Cause you need like. Cause I can understand with like somewhere like a Park City or like Silicon Valley. Because you just have a bunch of people that have, like, way more money than they know what to do with. And so it's easier to have something like that. Where people would be like, oh, this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Whereas, if you don't have people that have, like, ridiculous amounts of disposable income and they're just like, whatever, I just got, like, what was on sale.
Yeah.
And so you end up with that. So it's like, but the thing is like I said, I think that sort of thing's actually, let's say, like, bespoke shoes or shirts are actually more reasonable in price than it seems on the face of it, because as long as you're willing to wear, you'd be wearing the same amount of shirts as you would anyway. It's just you'd be using a higher percentage of your shirts on a regular basis. Trends. Yeah, I don't get trends.
In some aspects, trends are natural just because people see it. Like, their friends wear their, like, beanie folded up, and then they want to wear their beanie folded up. Yeah, and suddenly you've got, like, 1,000 college kids with their beanie folded up.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, like, kind of, people just wanting to, like, fit in. It's, like, just, like, a pro-social, like, inherent behavior that most people have. Yeah. And that, like, when something like that is noticed, you might have something like a clothing company, like, specifically start producing clothes that optimize for that, and then they market that. Because it might be something like somebody wearing a hat in a particular way. Yeah. And eventually it's like Old Navy starts making hats that are specifically to be worn that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, to a certain extent it's natural. Yeah, like somebody... I don't know how it starts. Somebody just wears something a certain way, and then somebody else does it. And then to a certain extent, it's not, because they're like manufactured trends for sure. I say that like I know. I don't really know.
I mean, that's what marketing is. That's like the whole goal of like marketing, is to get people, create trends that people follow. Yeah. So it's like getting more people to smoke cigarettes, coming up with an ad campaign to effectively convince people that it's the cool thing. And just this same thing with anything else. So many things like that are not natural.
Yeah. Should we start
Many
smoking
are, but
on this
start doing...
No, we should get like big cigars.
Start doing cigars.
Yeah, or like pipes. I'm just imagining this your like little off space.
It's
just filled with smoke.
I'm sure the landlord would love that.
Yeah. And we're like Sherlock Holmes in the book.
Maybe too hipster.
My goal is to wear beautiful clothes and to create my own aesthetic. Thanks, Oscar Wilde. High five.
I know, you gotta get like a fur jacket.
Dude. The problem is you just can't be too... I don't know.
I don't even know what color his jacket is.
I don't know.
This is a black and white picture.
It's probably brown. Might not be, though.
I don't know. He seemed like pretty into colorful stuff.
That's true. But I'm just looking at that jacket right there, but you're right. It could just be...
It's hard to tell. Like, it could be... I don't know.
I think there is a smoke detector in this specific room. We would just have to not let it...
There isn't. There's one, like...
We'd have to not let it creep outside too much.
One, like, right outside the door. I know for sure there's one in the bathroom.
Well...
They're like the old ones where it's like a rod. I don't even know if they work anymore. They've got to be, like, 50 years old.
We'd probably try and tamper with them, and the entire building would go off. Okay, so no cigars or pipes. Maybe pipes.
It's vape.
Vape. So cool. I'm like super... it's not like something I'm like aware of.
Vaping?
Yeah, well, like I don't know, like I can't like make fun of it. I don't know what the vaping culture's like. So all I can be like, it's so cool because it doesn't seem very cool. I mean, when I'm like 70, I've told everyone I'll just smoke a pipe then. I probably won't really because I'll probably try and be like,
You're like, this sucks.
This was worst. But yeah, it's at the point where I'm like, you know what? Don't care about the cancer anymore.
Yeah, whatever.
Just want to be an old hobbit.
I don't know. With the pipe, do you like actually inhale, or is it like a cigar where you like?
I think you just hold it in your mouth.
Cause yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you just hold it in your mouth like a cigar.
Okay. And, you know, that's not as bad. That's not as bad as.
Yeah, you still get like jaw cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, my plan is to wait until I'm like 70 or 80.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, weird. It's like a cigar.
Yeah. I remember when I would sleep in the Smith's parking lot a lot. There's this guy that would be there almost every night in this huge like lifted truck and just be smoking a cigar like in the middle of that abandoned parking lot.
It's a cooler story than I thought it was gonna be. I thought you were gonna have like grody people vaping.
No. And I was like wondering, like, is he just chilling there or is he like waiting for something?
I was waiting for a cigar.
Because it looked like so serious. Like he was there with like a purpose beyond just the cigar, but maybe it was just a cigar. I don't know. He just had the window rolled down with his like arm resting there with his cigar, just smoking out the window.
Huh.
I mean, it did look kind of cool.
I don't know when the last time I've seen like a real person with a cigar is.
I know you don't see it very often. He's
probably.
That's probably.
Even though if he's like in the cab of his truck, I'm sure he smells very. I'm sure the smell's a little conspicuous. Maybe he's not hiding the cigar from his wife. That's what I thought.
No, he's probably
just hiding from his wife in general.
In general. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that guy does now because that's not a free parking lot anymore.
Oh, no.
He's got a...
Where does he smoke?
He would have had to go somewhere else.
He'd have to go to, like...
You could go to the
grocery store parking lot somewhere else.
Just in the Smith's parking
Just
area.
go to, like, a corner of the Macy's parking lot. It's gigantic.
I remember there was, like, a abandoned car that had, like, completely destroyed tires. It was there for like over a year before they finally got rid of it. I remember I'd walk over there all the time when I lived closer to that place. I just noticed like this car's still here. And it had like tickets and stuff on the windshield. It was like, why aren't they towing this? And then one day I went over there and I saw them actually towing it. I was like, took you like a year and a half. Yeah, you could go to Fresh Market. You could go to the train station.
Yeah.
It's free parking. It's a big parking lot. If you go there at like late at night, it's going to be pretty empty.
I'm sure he's found a place.
Oh, I'm sure there's probably plenty of places.
He probably misses the Smith parking lot.
I know, this is a pretty good spot. I like sleeping there. It's like, because at night it was like just a big open space. I remember like in the evening it was kind of nice. I'd like sometimes go sit up on the roof of my van up there.
Get some secondhand cigar smoke.
Yeah.
You'd be like, ooh, I don't know anything about cigars. Hint of apple.
Yeah, I don't know what like the
Tastes like my grandma's house.
tastes like a pile of leaves.
Yeah.
Tastes like I'm burning a pile of leaves.
Aromatic burnt leaves. I have no idea.
It's a
I have like
more expensive hobby too than tea.
Yeah. What happened to your roof?
What? Why can't I go on the roof again?
Yes,
I can still go up on the roof.
Did the people who got Smith's parking lot, did they get your roof? They charged for your roof?
I just can't go up on the roof on the parking lot. Which is whatever.
Yeah, no 17-year-old smoking is that cool.
Yeah.
Smoking in general. I have like this weird sort of, I don't know, like it's like a happy sad nostalgia, cuz I was like, long story short, my dad managed the pools at Lava Hot Springs when I was small.
Okay.
And he stayed at a motel where his friend basically let him just stay in a room for free. And we'd go up to visit him, and the whole motel just smelled like cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have sort of like this nostalgia for it anytime I smell cigarette smoke, but I also don't like the smell.
Yeah.
So I get like this weird like combo feeling.
You're like,
It feels like kind of like a sad nostalgia to me.
I kind of like bar smell, where it's like the alcohol and like cigarette smell. But that's because I remember growing up, sometimes going to like
When your dad managed a bar in Lava Hot Springs.
when just I remember going to like restaurants that'd still have like a smoking section, and in Michigan they like all have like beer and stuff, but then also like we'd go on
It feels kind of road trippy.
yeah, well we'd also do kind of like a road trip in a boat, where you'd like go like, it's called like the chain of lakes, and so you'd go from lake to lake, and you'd like go up rivers and stuff. And we'd like stop at, there'd be like taverns that would be like next to the river, and you'd get out and you'd go in there and just be like a bar, but you'd just go in there with your family and get like a burger or whatever, and it just smells like that. I don't know. Similar thing, but it has to be like the combo for me. It has to be like the alcohol and cigarette smell, not just the. Yeah, like I wouldn't say it's like it's like good. I don't like the smell of cigarettes at all, but like that combo thing, at least I have like some positive memories with it. But I'm also not like, I wish I smelled that a lot. The alcohol smell like helps. But then just alcohol by itself is also not good. So yeah, I remember smoking sections in restaurants.
This is wild.
This is a long time ago. That was a really long time ago.
So, like, did the whole world just used to smell like smoke?
Probably.
I think it
You
did.
used to be able to smoke on airplanes.
Yeah, I think if you...
Which is insane to me.
Yeah. If you... Yeah.
Well, and the cigarette smell, like, permeates everything. That's why motels will just like permanently smell like cigarettes, because at some point somebody smoked a cigarette in there, but like many people have, and it just like builds up.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, in Uruguay, smoking was still like sexy. It was weird.
They're like, it's cool.
Yeah, it was. It was like. It would have been here. I don't know, in like the 50s or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everything just. Not everything, but a lot of places smelled like smoke.
In the Dominican Republic, I didn't feel like smoking was too much of a thing. I feel like I saw more people with cigars than with cigarettes. But that's probably because the DR is actually a pretty major cigar manufacturer. them in Cuba are kind of the big like Caribbean tobacco places. I very much remember this motels in particular.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of hotels can be similar, but there's like a particular, like for a motel.
Yeah.
There's like a distinct smell, and it's very much cigarette smell.
Yeah,
with like cleaning chemicals.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not just a lot of the hot springs, but like it just feels like like the road trips we take as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that cheap. It can also be like cheap hotel, like it's like the motel, Hotel 8, whatever.
Yeah.
Like smell.
It's like stale cigarette ashes and like Lysol.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
France feels like it should smoke like crazy.
Yeah. Supposed to.
Yeah.
Misty carpet. Oh, musty.
Misty carpet. It's my favorite candle.
Speaking of candle, I don't like this candle as much as the other one. But the other ones were...
I
wanted to replace the one that I had, but they weren't on sale.
Oh. Yeah, I do kind of miss the other one too.
I should have just got it, because they usually last me like a month or more. I just tried a new one. This one ended up being like way more intense than I thought it would be.
Yeah, smell is super intense.
Mm-hmm.
Or like smell is
strongly associated with memory.
Yeah. Yes. That's one thing that, just speaking of trying to make art. So I've talked about either making a video game or even like this kind of like whole, like sort of parlor game experience.
Mm-hmm.
Without going too much into that, but one of the things is I always feel like the smell is missing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're trying to uh if you're trying to like evoke a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and you like have like a strong like smell association.
Yeah.
Like I've thought about doing like adding like so essentially my idea that's not a video game is to do something like the tea ceremony where it's like this whole like curated like thing that you take somebody through, but in it'd be almost like a fictional thing, except for not. It's not about the story. It's about like the aesthetic experience. This all sounds so vague. It's because I haven't quite figured it out. Someday it'll. But like. Because if you go to, so you say you go to a tea ceremony, you have this like curated experience. It's very like, it's about like being there like in that moment, because you're like you walk through the garden and you go into like the you go into like the tea hut and you have the thing and you're like smelling all the smells and tasting all the smells and it's or tasting all the tastes, and it's like about that, you're there. Whereas essentially I was like, oh well, what if I do the same thing, but it's like I'm trying to like evoke the feeling of being in like an old hotel,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're like running like a. Is this just how you get like it? How you get Disneyland? You're running just like running a simulation.
Basically.
Yeah, that might be.
It's basically what an Imagineer does.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Except for on like a smaller, more personal level.
Yeah. It's like a little theme experience.
Yeah, I'm just making like a tiny like little theme experience. I mean, I haven't done this, but it's just an idea that's like caught hold of my mind.
How do you do the smells?
Yeah, I've thought about having it be. I guess there's like a Japanese incense game. Everything goes back to Japan, stupid Japan. But where I guess they like pass around, you can like go and do it, and you like pass around incenses, and you kind of like play a game where you try to like remember which ones are which, and you like write them on a paper as you pass them around.
It sounds hard.
Sounds kind of. I like the idea though.
Yeah.
But it would be hard if you weren't used to it.
Yeah.
I thought about getting some and like trying it with friends.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. Like a little like incense game. But yeah, VR except for you kind of want to let people's imagination do most of the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would in D&D.
Yeah.
Like people's imagination like fills in all the gaps. And you basically like have like a fun imagination adventure experience with people, except for it'd be less like it'd be less numbery than D&D, and less like storyful than D&D.
Mm-hmm.
The video game idea is more straightforward. It's just like you're like, oh, what if I just make mist? And then you're like, boy, this is missing the smells. Oh well.
Nothing I can do about that.
Yep. You're like, I can't like give people smells.
I mean, there's a device for it. Just nobody has it, though. So.
But my fun abstract parlor game, I call it imagination game. I don't know. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna take like 10 years because I've got to figure out how to do it while I have like 2 hours a day to work.
Yeah. Game plus candle plus tea.
Game plus. It's more like dinner plus. It's like what people would used to do, where you're like, "Oh, let us retire to the other room and play charades." But in this case, it would be like a fun little tiny, like, mini little D&D that I've prepared, essentially. So it'd be like dinner plus puzzle plus candle. Actually, honestly, game plus candle plus tea. Just do dinner plus game plus candle plus tea. Plus sound effects.
Plus a Bluetooth speaker.
Plus Bluetooth speaker. Plus 3-year-old breaking the immersion.
You'd have to have like a dedicated space for that sort of a thing, pretty much.
Again, if it was like a little more loosey-goosey. I've been, like I said, I've been thinking about this, how to make it. Dude, I need more Casey hosted gatherings. My problem is, they just have to be so, I want to like plan someththen nicer, because they're so haphazard. They're always like, hey, come over, and then we'll have some dinner, and people come over, and I'm like, okay, you have to sit around for like 2 hours while I finish cooking. That's how it's been the last like dozen times. So I'm trying to figure out the logistics of like food prep.
I do have work tomorrow, but I don't. My shift starts at 7. So
the real question you should be asking is, Casey, don't you have a baby that wakes up? Children to take care of? Yes. Actually, he was. We like wore him down to a pulp. We kept him up really past. He was way tired, like 6, and we just kept him up and kept him up. So he might not be bothering. Everything is so hard with littles. They're really wonderful, but they make a lot of things harder. Or more logistically difficult. But yeah. Someday we should go to bed. I don't know. It's pretty late. I was gonna try and make this short because when I got here, I was like ready to collapse because I've had a long day. But I got second wind.
There's so much to talk about.
I know.
But next time.
I was just interesting how I feel like when we talked about Tolstoy, he seemed like he was like the end boss of this. But I think his stuff applies. I mean, it applies to everything, but it really applies to like art. Like, like art with a capital A.
Yeah.
And so it's because I was like, we're not like talking much about Tolstoy. And when we talked about him, I was like, oh dang, Tolstoy's like the final boss. But yeah, it really like, because I've thought a lot about the whole like, so I don't mean to drag this out. This is my like interesting final thought, I guess. Where he's essentially like, hey, art is to like communicate a specific feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about that a ton because that's like kind of that's really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Whenever in the distant future I get to like, like if I make like a little Myst type game where it's all like atmospheric and moody, all I want to do is like, make it atmospheric and moody and kind of like convey like a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the realm of like applying this to more broadly, it's not super. You're not like.
I mean, in some ways, for example, him talking about, the effect of like folk music and things like that. It kind of connects into, that sort of connectedness with kind of your community and the creative expression within it. But yeah, he's definitely focusing a lot more on like kind of high art and like the mindfulness that artists should have about their craft. Really. Like, he's like, you need to, like, he's just, like, trying to convince you as an artist to really think about what you're creating and, like, is it worthwhile? And, like, are you actually, like, being deliberate and, like, trying to communicate, like, a sincere feeling? More than anything. Whereas I think more Oscar Wilde talks a lot more about, even though his is very short and it's not as like intricate in argument as Tolstoy, but it's more on like a lot more of what we've talked about, where it's like, the guy that makes the shoes and the guy that carves the wood.
Because Oscar Wilde's like, well, why don't you have a nice plate?
Yeah. Like, it's almost like on the other end of, like, not necessarily being the artist, but, like, in the parts of my life where I'm not being an artist, the considerations in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I think those parts feed into each other. And so, one is, as an artist, you need to consider what you're doing, and then on the other end, it's as somebody who has art in their life, it's like you need to think about like how that fits into it. And I think that's more applicable to more people because more people are not artists. So it's like, but everybody at some point, even an artist, isn't always just an artist. And so like thinking about like, the plates that you're going to have in your house is like a serious thing to consider, right?
Yeah. Yeah, being a consumer of art is important as being an artist. Yeah, Tolstoy was like, it's a two-way street.
Yeah. He was just focusing more on the artist end of it. And Oscar Wilde's like treating with the other side.
Yeah.
The consumer of art side of it. And like him going, because he, in house decoration, he's very much talking about essentially practical art. like having beautiful things, like having a nice pitcher for your water and having nice clothes to wear on a daily basis, and like things like that, rather than necessarily like an opera or like a nice painting. It's just like you having like the consideration for your own essentially aesthetic welfare in thinking about those things that you have in your day-to-day life. So it's more applicable to more people. So in that sense, it's more important to think about. Because, yeah, even an artist has to think about that aspect, too. It's just the artist, additionally, has to think about, seriously think about their art and what they're doing with it and whether it's worthwhile.
Well, that was a pretty sweet summing up in closing statement. That was a high five, Ghost, Oscar Wilde. Yes.
We didn't even talk about. I didn't even mention Japan.
Yeah, it's because he's so specific to what.
He's just complaining.
He's just like
complaining. But
I mean, maybe we should do this only by candlelight and have some lacquered stuff and sit and look at our lacquered stuff in the candlelight.
I mean, I guess in a sense it's like, from him, it's a lot more of like sort of thinking about, like the cost of like that convenience, taking on like the electric light, thinking about like, can you have an electric light and a lacquer bowl really, or does it like actually kind of one ruin the other?
And unfortunately,
so it's like what? So that there is like a consideration there. I mean, he talks about that, like how frustrating that is. Where he's like trying to be like, I want it like a traditional like lamp or whatever, but I can't get like one that makes sense with electricity. So but that In Praise of Shadows is really good.
Yeah, In Praise of Shadows
because it really gets you like thinking about all that, where you're like, it's like, wait, like what? It's like a lot of thinking about like kind of the baggage that comes with changing things, and like in a very like visceral way from his perspective, because he experienced that like shift in a very like noticeable way. And so it's like more like that observation of like what's lost by like having that new thing. Because I think about like the lights outside all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like whenever I'm like outside, I'm like, there's just lights everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of crazy that there's just lights. Like you like can't escape. The lights are on everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
It kind of drives you crazy. Like what effect does that have on you?
And the traffic noise of Provo.
Yeah.
First brought to my attention by one Justin Bumford. And ever since then, I'm like, wow.
Just always.
There's not like a quiet place.
Yeah.
In Provo.
On like Sunday morning, it's pretty quiet.
Oh yeah, that's like a.
Where?
We have the lights in our. The lights, not to make this go longer. The lights in our backyard are the weirdest like mix. Do you know what I'm talking about? So back behind us is an apartment building that has like floodlights.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And but at night it lights up our backyard like a night film set, and it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of like what it does to our backyard.
Yeah.
Cuz in theory you're like, this sucks that this apartment building has like basically two ginormous lights like trained on our house.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks like that kind of like artificial way they make uh that like films do night sometimes. It's actually kind of like fun. Like if you think hobbits running away from ring wraiths in the night in the Shire, and there's just like random lights like shining through trees.
Yeah.
And it's like no night actually looks like that, but there's whatever, it's like kind of cinematic.
Mm-hmm. No, I know exactly what lights you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So like weirdly, I kind of like them, but also it'd be super annoying if we didn't have trees. The trees kind of like make it cool.
Yeah, if you're like, because your neighbors don't have trees.
Yeah.
If you're like that, where you just had like a grass lawn in the back and just be
and
like,
there's just like this light pointed directly at the back of your house.
you have to like just build like a really tall fence to block it.
Or shoot their lights out with a BB gun.
See if they notice.
It would probably take them a long time to replace them. Or maybe not. Maybe they're like, oh, we have to, per the zoning regulation, we have to have like these like 5 million watt lamps in the back in case somebody gets mugged. I don't know what those lights are there for.
Yeah, how often do people get mugged?
I don't know what the lights are like.
When was the last time somebody got mugged in Provo? Has anybody ever gotten mugged in Provo? I'm sure it's happened at some point.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like that'd be big news, actually. It's like somebody got beat up and robbed on Center Street.
Yeah, I don't know what regulation makes it so they have to have these giant like floodlights in the back of their apartment.
There's probably a city ordinance.
Yeah.
That says that if you have an apartment building, you have to have like a certain amount of illumination.
Yeah.
Outside.
So they're pointed directly at the back of my little suburban house.
Yep.
Tom almost mugged somebody in Provo. And he had mercy on them at the last second. Wait,
while he's driving a car, they like get in the car?
Who did Tom mug?
What?
Tom has to do the mugging.
Oh, that reminds me. Yesterday, like one of our first customers that came into the kolache shop, just like the guy that was working in the register is like, "Oh, you got fun plans?" She's like, "Well, my husband works at the 7-Eleven and this drunk guy came in and wanted to buy some beer, but it was after hours, so he couldn't sell it. And so the drunk got mad, and when my husband was out taking a cigarette break, he just, like, ran him over with his car." And we're like, what? Oh, I think Tom told me.
Where was Tom? If he was at that 7-Eleven, I'm not surprised if Tom was there.
Feminine car. I don't know.
Actually, that whole that Tom little like weird like druggy strip through like 7-Eleven down the road, on like 300.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if if there was some
there's some,
if stuff is like stolen. If the various drugged out people on that kind of like several blocks didn't like steal from each other. I don't know.
Oh, it's a sketchy area. I have a coworker that like walks through there like every morning.
I mean,
come into work. And they haven't had anything.
I mean, you can.
They've had a few scares.
You can probably walk through an area like that your whole life and never really get bothered, but
yeah,
maybe
it's pretty tame, honestly.
Yeah,
but it is like the sketchiest place in Provo.
When I worked in New Orleans, I'd walk through like once you get used to a place. When I was first there, I was like scared out of my mind, and rightly so about a couple places. There's some like really like the rate of crime in New Orleans is super high.
Yeah,
but toward the end, I was almost like lackadaisical because you get like used to it.
Yeah,
and I would just like go through areas that perhaps I shouldn't have.
Well, it's like you kind of get an eye for like what to look out for.
And nothing ever happened, but back roads behind Taco Bell on 900.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where she's talking about.
Like 900 by BYU, like the Taco Bell down from BYU.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I remember Tom talking about that.
My car's been broken into in Provo a couple times. But
yeah, as far as like,
that's not.
If you're gonna have your car broken into, actually, it's probably most likely in that area just south of campus.
Yeah.
Because I've had my car broken into actually a few times there. I never have anything valuable ever in my car,
no,
and so neither. The worst that happened is I remember I was gone for like a week, and I came back, and my glove compartment had been open, and they just made a mess and like pulled everything out.
Yeah, that's what happened in my car.
I was like, oh, well, I don't. And then one time I was sleeping in there.
That was me. I was just like, where are the Mage Knight figures? I was just looking for them. That was my like hand.
Reaching in the window.
Yeah. I was like, I have the Mage Knight figures.
Anyway.
What happens when they block off your car? Do they like come up to your window?
Yeah.
Like, do they like block your car, then come up to your window and be like, "Hey, give me stuff"? It's like it is kind of a scary like prospect.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, as far as like,
do they kill you and take everything you have?
Common occurrence in Provo.
It's just like
no, like as far as like theft goes, like the student housing south of campus is probably the worst.
Yeah, because that's...
people will steal from people's apartments and stuff. Even.
The other guy, car was parked. Interesting.
Yeah, they were trying to like box him in or something.
Interesting. Huh. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't...
spooky.
It's like a weird spot. Like, because when he's telling me about it, it did sound like it's like kind of like why would that be the area that you'd like hang around for that? But also that area near the 7-Eleven is kind of iffy.
Yeah. I would love to go try that pizza, but I don't dare. The freshest pizza in Provo. Yeah, all of the two times that my car was broken into, it was in that same parking lot.
Yeah.
That's a great place actually to do it.
Mm-hmm. To break into a car.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, there's a bunch of people there. Like, anybody could come out of their apartment at any time.
Yeah, but you do it at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like when when it happened. It was always in the morning. I'd find it all rummaged through.
They should just like put something in there. Just throw you off.
Wait, they should put something?
Yeah.
Like they should
it's like geocaching.
They should like leave me a 20. And like have a nice day. Or yeah, something spookier like a fortune cookie with a clue. And they're like, if you ever want to see baby Maki again. Okay.
Alright, that's probably... I'm tired.
Oh my gosh.
I go.
Okay. Piper, good luck with your night shift, which I assume was what it is. You're like, my shift ended hours ago. I'm just hanging out.
We'll have you come on for an architecture roast.
Or again, whatever your pet aesthetic theme is.
Yeah. We'll let you pick something. But I can talk to you about it later. I'll see you Sunday. So.
And good night, Eliza, with your night shift that you're doing.
Alright. Adios.
Ciao.
I need to sleep.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be so sad about this in the morning.
So sad about it?